If you're dealing with a hiatal hernia, you're probably having some symptoms that are not that fun. So in this video, I'm going to help you understand what's going on and the symptoms you might experience, along with what could cause this and how to get some relief. Let's jump in.
TC Hale is not a doctor and does not claim to be a doctor licensed in any type of medical field. Don't be an idiot and use anything heard on the show as medical advice. This information should be used for educational purposes only, and you should contact your doctor for any medical advice. Now get off me.
Now, if we're going to get into the technical aspects of a hiatal hernia, you first need to understand that hiatal hernias suck. They're just the worst. And I had a hiatal hernia, and that was part of what made me lose my voice for 8 years. That was 8 years of shutting up. If you want to hear more about that, we'll put our video for how I lost my voice for 8 years in the link below this description. But hiatal hernias are not cool. So if you're dealing with some issues, this is basically what's going on. See, this is like our diaphragm. And right here, this little white dot is what's called the LES, or the lower esophageal sphincter. And that kind of opens up and allows food to come in, and then that valve will close, and then the food doesn't come back up. So it's a really good valve to have around. What happens when we have a hiatal hernia is this esophagus here is getting pulled up through the diaphragm. So this is our diaphragm, here's our esophagus, and what will happen is it'll get a little bit of a tear in that lining of the diaphragm, and then it'll come back up and we end up with this bulge here. And it could look different. There might be a bulge that comes over here, but the thing is when there's this bulge, the LES is a little bit displaced, and then it doesn't have the ability to close. It's a little bit wonky and it can't close as tight so food can come back up. So that's one of the symptoms that you can experience if you have a hiatal hernia. You can have this reflux. That's really common. That's probably the most common symptom. Now, this is not the cause of acid reflux. It's just a cause of acid reflux. Most people dealing with acid reflux have an issue where they're not making enough stomach acid. Yeah, it's not from too much stomach acid like advertisers tell us. It's actually caused by not enough stomach acid because this LES valve is triggered by stomach acid. So when this stomach gets acidic enough, this valve is triggered and then it'll close and then the food doesn't come back up. But we'll put a link to our video for why do I have acid reflux to kind of understand that situation a little bit more. If you're having reflux and you don't understand that yet, you haven't seen that video, we'll put the link in the description. You'll want to watch that to really understand, because most people dealing with reflux will need to fix that first. But when this comes up like this, now it doesn't have the ability to close and the food can come back up and create a lot of trouble. But another thing that it can kind of feel like is just feel like food's kind of just getting stuck there. And it feels like kind of like a trauma sometimes for some people. They'll eat something and then it's just like, hey, it's not going down, but it doesn't feel like, oh, that's not going down. It feels like, that's not going down. Like it's really uncomfortable and kind of feel like, this is kind of what it's like to die a little bit. So don't let it freak you out too much. We're going to talk about some ways when we talk about fixing this that can bring a little bit of relief. Some people have issues where it's a little bit difficult for them to breathe, and maybe they can't breathe in as deep. And that's one way sometimes you can even check to see is right below your little breastbone here, you can kind of push in, and is that tender? That can sometimes be a sign of a hiatal hernia. But if you push it in and it's hard to breathe in as well, that can be another sign that maybe this is just pulled up in there a little bit and things are a little bit wonky, creating some problems for you. So when we want to look at what's going to cause this, there can be a variety of things. I just want to talk about the 3 most common causes. And one of them is what we call a catabolic imbalance. And this is just a state in the body that we should be in a catabolic state at the cellular level during the day. This is when the body is really good at creating energy and it can kind of break down old cells so that they can be rebuilt. So it's a good thing. We want to be there. And then we move into an anabolic state at night where we rest and we rebuild all those tissues. But a lot of people can get stuck in this state, in this catabolic state most of the time, and they're not moving into that anabolic state at night. They're just not doing it like they should. And if that's the case, all the tissues are getting broken down, but they're not getting rebuilt. So this diaphragm here can become weak. And if it's not strong, it's easier to tear. And so that's one problem that we see a lot when we're seeing people that are dealing with a hiatal hernias, that they're just not rebuilding the body the way that it should and they're stuck in this state. So I'm going to put a link in the description below this video for our video on understanding a catabolic imbalance so you can dig into that if you feel like that may be a problem for you. But another common issue that's going to create a hiatal hernia is pressure in the stomach. And maybe, you said something to a girl that you thought was going to be cute and it was just offensive and maybe a little bit lecherous, and she punched you in the stomach. That's a lot of pressure that could push up and kind of displace these things and kind of tear that a little bit and allow things to come up. But other pressure could be from like a bacterial overgrowth. A lot of people have bacteria in the stomach where it really shouldn't be. We want bacteria in our large intestine, in our colon area, but we don't want bacteria in the stomach or the small intestine. And if somebody has an overgrowth here in the stomach, that can create a lot of gases and pressure, and that pressure can just push things up, and it can push it up so hard that it can kind of tear that a little bit, so this esophagus comes back up. Now some of the stomach is actually up above the diaphragm, creating this mangled kind of situation. So that's when the LES is going to be a little bit displaced or just a little jacked up so that it can't close correctly and create all those problems. So an overgrowth is another way that we can see more pressure there just from all the bacterial overgrowth and that types of situations. So those are the most common causes for this. And this can be a troubling thing that can create a lot of problems. If it's creating reflux for you, that can be a problem, because when you take the steps to fix the most common cause of reflux, which is a lack of stomach acid, you may get this stomach acidic enough to trigger this LES valve to close, but it might not matter how acidic you get the stomach if it's not able to close correctly when it is triggered to close. The good news is that you can get relief from this. So what I want you to do right now is jump over to our video on how to get relief from a hiatal hernia, so you can understand the steps you can take to get immediate relief and also steps you can take to fix it long term. I can't wait to hear about your results.